Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
The next question. How did the East Roman Empire come into existence? Despite the fall of the West Roman Empire, the East Roman Empire continued to be strong and rule for another 1000 years. This was strengthened with the shift of the capital to Constantinople. Alright? Describe the next question. Describe the slave rebellion led by Spartacus. Spartacus was a gladiator who led the slave revolt or uprising with a large number of slaves in the Roman Empire. He, with his troops, was able to defeat a large number of Roman forces before being killed in a battle in 71 BC. Alright? The next question. How were the Christians persecuted by the Roman emperors? Number 1. Christian books were burned. Number 2. Christians were removed from public offices. And number 3, Christian slaves were not allowed freedom. Okay, so these were the ways how Christians were persecuted by the Roman emperors. The next question. Describe the contribution of the Romans to government and politics. So one of the important contributions of the Romans to the government and politics is the introduction of the Roman law. The Roman law acted as a basis for the development of legal system in Europe and outside. Okay? Next question. If you have lived in the Roman Empire, where would you rather have lived? In the towns or in the countryside? Explain why. Now, this is a very interesting question, and I would encourage you to do it on your own. Although I can give you some points for you to note down. Okay? So here you have to imagine that you are living at the time of the Roman Empire. And if you were living at that time, would you have chosen to live in the towns, or would you have chosen to live in the countryside? So in this chapter, we learned about what Roman society was, what Roman culture was, right? How the countrysides were, how the towns were. So if you decide to answer by saying that I would have lived in the towns, then you have to explain why would you have preferred to live in the towns, and if you would have chosen to say that you would have chosen to live in the countryside, then also you have to explain your answers. So for example, in the towns, what were the towns like? The towns had beautiful, magnificent buildings, right? So you write about in the towns the buildings, okay? The buildings. Magnificent buildings. But in the countryside, there were estates of the rich, wealthy Romans, right? So in the countryside, there would be estates, or you would live as a owner of a large estate or a large farm or a large tract of land, etc. Okay. Now, both in the cities and the towns, there were slaves. So you would say something like you would like to live in the towns, in a nice building, in a nice house, and then employ lots of slaves, right? And in the estates, you would say something like the slaves would be employed in the field for the cultivation of vegetables, for the cultivation of crops, etc. Okay? Now, for example, in the towns, there were entertainments like gladiators, right? The fights. So you would also write about the gladiators. You would like to remain in the towns or the cities because you would like to go watch a match where the gladiators fight in the arena, right? So such entertainments would be provided in the towns, and you would like to go watch. In the states, you could write a little bit about how you would throw parties, right? Parties in your estates, and then call your friends, and your slaves would be employed to provide service to your friends and family, etc. So according to how we have understood the Roman society culture, the Roman Empire, just try to be innovative, just try to be creative, remember what we have learned and put it into writing a nice answer as to where you would live, okay? Towns or countryside. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. The next question asks to describe the achievements of Augustus. Emperor Augustus, alright? Now Emperor Augustus' achievements are mainly, number one, reorganization of army. Number 2, administrative reforms. And number 3, art and literature. Okay, so these are the main achievements. Now, under the reorganization of army, you could say he developed a strong army, a very strong army. All right. The army was paid. That was the special feature of his reorganization. Recruited from the Roman citizens. All right. And he formed the Praetorian Guard, or the Guard of the Emperor. Okay, so that was the reorganization of the army. In the administrative reforms, he made the position of the Senate, which occupied a very important position before him, he made the position of the Senate subordinate to what it earlier occupied. Okay? And he created new departments and employed new officers. Okay? He maintained peace and he centralized the courts. All right? So those are some of the administrative reforms. Now, art and architecture, or art and literature. In this field, he developed it extensively. Okay? He built magnificent buildings. He supported many writers and philosophers of his time. Okay? Next question. Give an account of the achievements of Constantine. Number 1, he checked the decline of the empire. Number 2, he checked the occurrence of civil wars. Number 3, he regulated the succession to the throne. Number 4, he introduced despotism. Number 5, he established a large army of spies and secret agents. Okay. The next question, how did Christianity spread in the Roman Empire? Roman emperors, pro-Christian policies led to the spread of Christianity. So there was acceleration of conversion of upper class Romans. Steps to convert conservative peasantry also took place. Observation of Sunday as a rest day was obligatory. New churches were built. New capital city of Constantinople was dedicated to the Blessed Virgin. Okay. The next question, examine the causes of the fall of the West Roman Empire. So there were many causes. We'll put down the important ones. Number 1, the invasion or invasions of the Germanic barbarians. That was the number 1 cause. Number 2, failure to advance. Technological development was number 2. Number 3, institution of slavery was the 3rd cause. Number 4, inflation was another cause. Number 5, inflation or economic disintegration. Number 5. The next question. Write an essay on the Eastern Roman Empire. With the fall of the West, Roman Empire, the locus of the empire moved or shifted to the east. Okay? East Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire remained strong and ruled for about another 1000 years. Constantinople became the new capital. Greek language and culture became predominant. Art, architecture, and literature were influenced by Greek culture. Okay?